What's up, guys? Oh my God.
Hey Simon, what's up?
Hey, what's up, dude? Where are you at? We're supposed to be shooting a video right now.
Oh no, I can't come right now. I'm filming a video about Call of Duty.
Oh.
Alright, bye.
Okay. Where's that portal juice we used? This'll teach that knucklehead to miss shooting days.
The reason I think it's important that we complain about this now and speak out about this now is because if we...
Yeah, that's what I thought. Stupid. All right, now let's change clothes, change the time of day, and bring a car in here.
Why are we all the way back here?
Man, I don't know.
What's up, guys? Today we're going to be working on a Hyundai Tiburon.
Weird name.
Yep.
So check this out. It's another inspection. You guys liked the last one, so we're gonna look at this one. It's a 2003 Tiburon V6. It's the GT. It's an automatic, and it's only got 120,000 miles on it, which is pretty good. Pretty clean. Clear coat's peeling a little bit. The owner has some basic maintenance items that he's purchased that he wants us to do.
Such as
Serpentine belt,
serpentine belt,
tensioner pulley, idler pulley, PCB valve,
spark plug,
spank plugs, engine filter, cabin air filter. It also has a growl that you guys will hear from our test drive here in a sec. That's coming from the power steering pump bearing. He has a power steering pump coming, and we will do that next week.
bless up.
First, we're gonna do an inspection of the car all the way around, and then we're gonna move on to the basic maintenance items.
Hey guys, we're on our test drive now. A test drive! We're test driving the Hyundai Tiburon. However the fuck you say that. Feels good. We got the bearing noise that we showed you guys earlier. But when I let go of the wheel at highway speeds, it doesn't drift, so the alignment's good. When I stomp on the brakes at highway speeds, the steering wheel doesn't wobble and the brake pedal doesn't pulse, so I don't think any of the rotors are messed up. The stereo is original, so I wanted to offer to replace that.
All right, we took the engine cover off. It's a big old sideways V6. That's cool, I guess. So the spark plugs, they might suck a little bit because this intake manifold coming over the top. So that's probably gonna suck actually a little bit. I'm just realizing that.
Yeah.
Okay, here's our inspection. It's gonna be pretty cut and dry. We got a couple oil leaks from the valve covers. You can see that valve cover's leaking. However, it is possible that somebody filled the oil and spilled some. So I'm gonna spray that off with some brake cleaner and re-inspect next time I see the car. Moving around, we can see the air conditioning in this car does not hold. And usually you need a black light to see a leak. I think I see a leak. All that green shit, that's probably Freon. Chances are that this line needs to be replaced, and maybe the compressor too. We have some more oil back here. You can see down in that crevasse. There's our oil. I believe that's coming from the back of the valve cover as well. So that'll be exciting. Check our fluids. Oil looks good, healthy, new. Power steering fluid, good. We got a transmission dipstick. Once again, the car needs to be on at operating temperature at idle to get an accurate reading. I'm just checking the color of it. It's a little brown. Might need a swap sometime in the near 20,000 miles. Unless the car shifts funny, I'm usually not going to check the transmission fluid level. The trunk struts are good. The hood struts are good. During the test drive, I tested all the wipers and the washer sprayers to make sure they work and the wipers don't need to be replaced.
All right, guys. The bottom of this engine is coated in fresh oil, which means that there's a pretty serious leak going on. The drips are forming on bolts above the oil pan. It's coming down from the headers as well. And so I'm thinking that those valve covers we were suspecting might actually be leaking all the way down the engine, at least part of it. So I'm going to suggest that if the customer starts experiencing oil loss or drips on the ground, I am going to replace those valve covers.
The engine overall looks pretty good and it drives good. So now we're gonna get started on those spark plugs. All right, guys. So with these types of coils and wires, it's pretty easy to remember where they go because of the lengths of the wires. You just kind of pull them out. Try not to break them. These ones are kind of old. This one, this really short one, I might have to actually unplug from the coil pack though. There we go. Now they're all out of the way, so I can get to the front three spark plugs pretty easily. You can use a spark plug socket for spark plugs. They have a little rubber bushing inside them that's supposed to grab the spark plug. I have not that cheap of spark plug sockets, and they still don't grab very well. So what I usually do is get in there with an impact or a ratchet, a long extension. I loosen them up. And then get yourself one of these extendo magnets. Just pull them out. Oh boy.
Oh,
It's a good thing he's doing these spark plugs. I'm surprised that doesn't have a misfire.
yeah.
That is a huge gap, and the tip is almost completely gone. Wow, that was probably a close call. This thing's probably gonna run significantly better. Yeah, and it wasn't just that cylinder.
Oh,
All
yeah.
of them look like shit. This one has a little bit of oil on it, which means that the circular seal under the valve cover that is supposed to guard the spark plug tube from oil is probably also failing. So whenever I do the valve covers on this, I will replace those as well. They usually come with a kit if you get a valve cover replacement kit. Now those front three are super easy, which is awesome. However, that's not the fun part. Now here's a tip for you guys. You see me zip spark plugs out with an impact. Do not zip them in. Drop them down the tube, take your socket and extension, get it over the spark plug, and then start it with your fingers. Make sure it's threading in before you put any kind of real force on it. Do not start it with a ratchet. Start it with your fingers, just like this. If you cross thread these, you'll need a new head if it's irreversible damage. Sometimes you can save it, but it really sucks. Spark plugs are supposed to be quick. That's a really fun way to make them not quick. Then, without too much force, I usually set my impact on level 1 or 2. Give them a couple rattles. Spark plugs have crush washers on them to help keep them from backing themselves out. And just like that, you're done with the front 3 spark plugs. I'm gonna go ahead and put my little fellas back through. In order to get to the back, I have to remove the intake manifold. That's one of my least favorite things about these sideways V6s, front wheel drive usually. You gotta take the intake manifold off, which in this case doesn't look too bad. I can probably just disconnect the intake hose, and then these intake bolts, I won't have to mess with the injectors or anything, but there is some voltage at the back, and I don't know how much of that I want to fuck with. We're gonna stop the camera, I'm gonna let you know what I end up doing. I'm sweatier now. I wonder why. Check this out. You have 1 bolt, 2 bolt, 3 bolt, 4 bolt, 5 bolt, 6 bolt, 7 bolt. The ones on the outside are actually nuts. They're all 12 millimeter, and that's how you take this part off, right? And that would make perfect sense. Like, that's the only part that needs to really be secured. Then you got a couple of 10s holding on your cruise control cable and shit like that. But once you look around back, oh, there's 3 more bolts. And they're fucked off back here. You got one on the edge here, that's not that bad. You got one on that edge there, that one's not that bad after you remove your throttle body, which I did. Make sure you disconnect these connectors. You're not supposed to pull these metal clips out. You're just supposed to push them in, and they will disconnect. It's kind of a cool little system. I like it. But there's one in the middle. That one's just so fucking special. And put it back in if you want, but I will tell you that you don't need to. It's secured with 2. I disconnected everything back here. You got a sensor, you got your throttle cables, and that's pretty much it. You got a ground. I can kind of just pull this guy up and out of the way now. However, I will tell you, do yourself a favor and remove your throttle body gasket carefully. Mine got broken in the process, and now I have to go fucking get one before I can move this car, which is frustrating. Now you can actually see where that 3rd bolt is.
Yeah, right there.
You can see that's just right in the way. You have to pry this wire out of the way because it's got 3 fucking zip ties on it. This out of the way. This sensor here you gotta unplug. It's just real special. It's so just So we're gonna do these now. It's the same as the front. Now that you have access, you just pull the cables out. But one last thing before I turn the camera off to just do that. You can see here we got some leakage from what appears to be the valve cover. I'm sure at some point, if that gets bad enough, I'll be doing this again. All right, guys, we got this all back together. I would encourage you to double check your work after you finish putting spark plugs in, because you don't want to have to undo that and you can't test turning on the car with it off. Yeah, make sure you put your ground strap back on. You got a ground strap right here. Make sure all your throttle bolts go back into their home where they're supposed to. There are 3 that hold the cables. And then the sensor at the back. I think that's the manifold pressure sensor or something. You gotta make sure that's plugged back in too. On our 2002 Honda Civic, the PCB valve was fucked off behind the engine. It sucked. This is one thing that Hyundai was nice about. It's right here. Right there, baby. Squeeze this, pull it off, pull the hose off, get yourself a deep 14mm socket. There you go. This one's crusty. You can still hear the ball bearing rolling around in there though, so it was probably still doing its job, but not as much flow as you would want. Never a bad idea to replace those when you get an older car that's new to you. This is the first time I've ever seen a PCB valve where the sealing mechanism is just pipe thread, which means that it's not supposed to seat all the way, it just kind of goes in a little bit, and that means that I have to seal it with some kind of pipe thread sealant. I'm gonna use thread tape. A little bit of this stuff, it's pretty cheap, you can buy it at any auto parts store or any hardware section in any store pretty much. Just give it a couple wraps, and this will act as a seal on this PCB valve. Turn that guy in a little bit. Tape's not the prettiest, but I don't give a fuck. And now we start the hunt for the tool that I just set down. Okay. And remember, it's not supposed to go all the way in. It's just supposed to be tight. Slide your hose back on. Slide your clamp back on.
Hey guys, 1 week later, Simon here. I just finished up the power steering pump. A couple other good things to check that we forgot to mention or show in the video is check for brake pad wear. And it doesn't hurt to do an oil change if the oil doesn't look fresh like this one's oil did. And if your transmission fluid looks really dirty, it doesn't hurt to do that as well. So yeah, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And we will catch you in the next one when we show you the vehicle that we traded our work on this one for.